Over the last 23 years, I have made roughly 250 quilts, hundreds of hours cutting, piecing, pressing, and stitching. Do you want to take a guess how many of those quilts are currently in my house? About 5. People always look at me like I have lost my mind when I tell them that. Where did they all go? Don't you want to keep your own art? Today, we're going to have an honest conversation about why I almost never keep my finished quilts and why letting them go is actually the best part of the entire process. Plus, stick around until the end because there is one specific quilt I will never give away, and the reason why completely changed how I look at my sewing. When many people start quilting, they fall into what I call the museum mindset. They treat every quilt like a piece of fine art that needs to be preserved and protected. Some quilts are art pieces meant for hanging on a wall. But for me, I make quilts for utility and connection. I make quilts to be used. I want my quilts on a couch getting pulled down to the floor for movie night. I want them wrapped around someone sitting on the back porch with coffee and a dog. I want them thrown in the washing machine so they get that crinkly, cozy, and broken in feel. Honestly, my absolute favorite quilts are baby quilts, where I get to use fun fabrics in pretty bright colors. I always laugh to myself when a new parent asks me, well, what happens if the baby pees, poops, or throws up on the quilt? I simply reassure them and tell them to just put the quilt in the washer on warm and dry on low, and all will be fine. They always seem shocked by that answer. When you create something meant for real life, keeping it folded up in a closet missing out on its purpose feels like a shame. If you are feeling inspired to start quilting but don't own a sewing machine yet, make sure you click the link below to get your free sewing machine buying guide. It will help you figure out exactly what features you need without overspending. Giving away almost all of my quilts brings up a bigger question that trips a lot of makers up. What happens when a quilt isn't perfect? OMG! I used to stress over every single wonky seam until I realized something about the people who were receiving them that changed everything for me. Here's the secret about perfection. The person receiving your quilt will never see the flaw that you spent 3 days worrying about. When you give a quilt to a friend, a family member, or a charitable cause, they do not look at it with a magnifying glass, checking to see if your points all match up. They see the time spent, love or intention sewed into every stitch, and the investment in the supplies to make the quilt. When I stopped worrying about being perfect and started making quilts purely to pass along, all of my stress disappeared. Finished is infinitely better than perfect, and once that final binding stitch is in, my relationship with that project is complete. The joy for me is in the process or the making. Passing the quilt on is just releasing it to its second life. There's also incredible freedom in a clear sewing space. If I kept every quilt I ever made, my house would look like a fabric store. Letting go of finished projects frees up physical room on my shelves, but more importantly, it frees up mental room for my next project. It keeps the process fresh. I get to experiment with color palettes or block patterns I might not want in my own house, knowing that someone else out there is going to love the quilt. If you're ready to start your next creation or take your first steps into the world of quilting, and if you're enjoying this video, make sure you click the link below to get your free sewing machine buying guide. It's the easiest way to make sure you have the right tool for the job. Now remember at the beginning when I promised to tell you about the one quilt I won't give away? It's this one right here. It's beaten up, it's been washed a lot, and it's full of mistakes from when I was first learning the one block wonder method. I keep it not because it's perfect, but as a reminder of where I started and proof that a quilt's true value comes from being loved, not being preserved. What about you? Are you a quilt keeper, or do you love giving them away the second they're off the machine? Drop a comment below and let me know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and grab that guide in the description. Happy quilting, and I'll see you next time.